Alright everybody, here's a little update on the rig. As you can see, it's all in one piece. Yay! Keyboard tray, Fanatec SQ shifter, Thrustmaster T300 with the Evo Alcantara wheel, the Fanatec ClubSport V3s, and I can't race with it at all. In order to make sure the wheel was close to me in the seated position without having to make crazy modifications to the PVC posts that hold the wheel up, I moved the pedals really far forward. As you can see, the wood blocks at an angle, actually hangs off the end of the rig, and this had the unintended consequence of my calves rubbing right here on the roll bar padding, whereas used to it was just my ankles that touched that roll bar padding. And because I'm not small by any means, that put my legs at an awkward angle, put a lot of pressure on my calves up against those posts, even with the roll bar padding there. It became very painful, and of course I couldn't get comfortable. Could not get any feel for the brake pedal, anything like that. So it's all got to be changed. The support brackets right there will be coming down. The pedal board, the floor plate will be moved completely back into a more natural position at the bottom, closer to where my old pedals were. The shifter's going to be moved. Everything's got to be redone. So I got in about 45 minutes of racing after a month of waiting on parts to come in and modifications to the rig. And now it's going to be at least a couple more days before I'm able to actually get back into it. So I'm going to stop this right here, and I'll take another clip to add in once I have all the adjustments made. Alright, so as promised, the rig is now finished. So I'm going to go over the modifications. If you've seen my previous videos about my rig, you can go look at them to look at the original specs. This actually isn't far off, not as far off as I thought it was going to have to be originally. I'll go over my components in a few minutes too, because I do want to give a little review, let everybody know what I think of the pieces I bought. Anyway, keyboard tray still in same place, seat still in same place. Shifter, here's the first major change. The Fanatec shifter requires a lot more force to work, and it is heavier in general than the Logitech G25/G27 shifter. So basically I had to build this new mount here that joined in from the upper area where the original shifter was located and tees off on the right hand side brace, and it is very stable. It is really solid. The majority of the movement that I get from the rig right now comes from a broken T. Down there at the bottom, you can't see the brake, but it is broken. I get a little bit of movement and some squeaky noise from that, but I'll go over that in a little more detail later. The pedal mount has been moved back to the original floorboard location from my Logitech G25 pedal set. I thought I was going to have to do a lot more maneuvering, and turns out I didn't. The last time you saw them mounted up was actually not conducive to my driving, as I discussed. It was causing my legs to rub up against the side posts there. And here I am quite a few days later, and honestly the sides of my calves still hurt. That's how much pressure was being put on my calves to try to scissor my big fat legs in there. The deck plate for the steering wheel, as you can see, was drilled several times. I tried all kind of mounting positions. And believe it or not, I came close back to where the G25 was. You can see the difference right here is where the G25 was mounted to the center plate. So you see, I only had to move it about 3/4 of an inch back. Those metal braces right there originally went to my homemade overhead pedal mount kit, and now they are bolted crosswise to the steering wheel mount, which you're probably thinking I could have mounted them both in the same position, but it is extremely stable and sturdy. And not only that, it also allowed me to keep my USB hub in the same place. Now, I know a lot of people and even the manufacturers recommend, hey, plug directly into your PC. But as you can see where my PC is, where it kind of needs to be, in all honesty, I just don't have enough cable, and I'm not seeing any performance problems. I'm not seeing any issue at all using a hub. Everything works fantastically. So now let me take a minute to go over everything. I'm going to start with the shifter there, and I got to tell you, I absolutely love that shifter. My original idea was to go with the Thrustmaster shifter, the Thrustmaster add-on. And as I got to looking at it and looking at reviews and stuff, if you want to use that thing as a sequential shifter, you have to take it apart. And that to me was a deal breaker. One of the great things about the Logitech G25/G27 shifter was how easy it was to change it from H pattern to sequential mode. And this Fanatec is even easier. Not only is it a big, bulky piece of hardware that, as you can see, looks like a sequential shifter from a race car. Very positive shifts. The thing has a terrific feel. It's also got that switch right there, which I hope you can see, that is super easy to operate. I mean, it is nothing to switch that thing from sequential to 8 pattern. And that's just fantastic. When you're swapping cars out in iRacing, which I know a lot of you probably run different sims. I'm an iRacing guy, I stick with it. Every once in a while I'll still run some NR2K3 with some of my friends, but ever since the new tire model came out, I have been completely sold on iRacing. So that ability to switch the shifter is just outstanding. That is, that's just freaking amazing, and it's, to me, it's a must-have. If you want to go with that real feeling, you can use the paddle shifters as well for sequential, but, that real feeling of just grabbing that shifter that you see a lot of the sports cars and GT cars have, I mean, why have to take your shifter apart to do that? So I went with the Fanatec. The steering wheel, oh my freaking God. I absolutely love this wheel. To me, this wheel is as big a jump from the G25 as the G25 was from the Driving Force Pro. This is an absolutely fantastic wheel. It's a Thrustmaster T300. And I'm not talking about the Evo Alcantara wheel. I do love the actual wheel itself. I freaking love this wheel. It is just fantastic, fantastic feeling in your hands. It's wonderful to drive with it, but that Thrustmaster servo base, I can't say enough about it, how wonderful it is, the feeling you get, the smoothness. It is absolutely wonderful. I can't say enough about it. However, I have been looking around and doing some more research, and I must say that I really want to go to the TSPC Racer. In all honesty, that's what I would have bought instead of the T300, but I do not like the steering wheel that comes with the TSPC Racer. I think it's hideous, and the reviews I've seen says it feels like it's made cheaply. And why am I going to spend all this time and effort on my rig to feel like I have a cheap piece of plastic in my hands? Now the servo itself, the servo base for the TSPC is, according to the research and the early reviews, is even better than the T300. So once Thrustmaster starts selling the TSPC servo base as a separate option instead of with that god-awful wheel, just a heads up, you will see my T300 up for sale. I will be going to the TSPC Eraser once it becomes available as a servo-only model. Now I got to talk about the pedals. That is the Fanatec ClubSport V3. And right now, in the current configuration, that is a fantastic pedal set. However, I am quite disappointed in how I got them out of the box. I went ahead and bought the damper kit and put it on the brake pedal. As you can see, I'll go overhead here. And that does add a lot to it. But even on the stiffest setting, with the preload screw, I just could not get a good feel for the pedal at all. Luckily, I had ordered the brake performance kit along with everything, unsure if I was even going to use it. Here's a tip. If you are going to order this pedal set, go ahead and order the brake performance kit with it. Even if you don't use it, you will save so much money on shipping in the event you do decide to use it. And I did a lot of running with this pedal before I added the performance kit, and it just, everything I'd ever seen about load cells, I was like, my honest opinion was that this was just going to be fantastic right out of the box. You know, load cell, that's all I've seen for the last several years. They have G25 and G27 add-ons to put load cells in your pedal. And I'll be honest with you, I did a pneumatic mod to my G25 brake pedal, where essentially you plug there's an end hole, you plug it with a screw, nice and tight. You put an O-ring around one of the plastic cylinders, lube it up, and that creates a pneumatic cylinder. And it gives you a pedal that pushes back against you the harder you press it, because you're compressing the air in the pedal. And that felt better to me than this Fanatec brake pedal with the load cell at full stiffness with the damper kit out of the box. And that is a lot of money to spend. So the other thing is the rumble motors. That was another option that really sold me on getting this pedal. And I got to be honest with you, I can't feel them at all when I'm in the game, when I'm in the sim. I don't feel them moving at all. So I'm not sure if I need to configure something differently or if the effect is just so weak. I've seen a lot of people talk about how weak the feeling is, that if you have like a butt kicker, which I don't, I have no kind of butt kicker or anything like that. I think Fanatec could have gone with a more forceful rumble motor. I'm sure they went with the weight sizes that they went with to save wear and tear. But I think you would want that feeling of the pedal moving more than you'd worry about replacing a rumble motor, 3 or 4 years down the road. It looks like an easy enough part to change out. So I'm not sure why they went with such a low-strength rumble motor. Or if maybe I'm just doing something wrong. Because at this point, I can't feel it at all, even driving barefoot, which I don't recommend. So anyway, I added the brake performance kit. And after a little bit of testing, I went with one of the softest add-on strengths, believe it or not. And that put my pedal exactly where I needed it to be. I started with medium, an 013 green with an 012 red, and it was just way too stiff. It actually, after about 5 laps, made my neck hurt from how hard I was pressing the brake pedal. So I went with one of the softer combinations, the 012 red and the 012 green, and it is damn near perfect. But it really, with spending that much money on a pedal set, I really don't feel it should have been that much work to get my pedal exactly like I needed it. However, now that I have it where I need it, I still would not take the Logitech pedal set back. That is a beautiful pedal set, excellently made, and so responsive. It is still, you know, leaps and bounds above the Logitech stuff that I had. So anyway, that's the review. Those are the changes to the rig. Everything else pretty much the same. My surround sound speakers. However, this rig will be going away this year. I've decided to build a new PC. Once that is complete, I will be getting rid of the desk and everything, moving that into my living room to use as a work PC, so I can do all my paint jobs and things like that I want to do without having to move my sim rig. And I will be building a new rig out of 2-inch PVC. This is 1.5 inches, with a built-on monitor mount because I intend to go with an ultra-wide curved screen. I won't do 3 because, come on, this is my bedroom. I don't have room for 3 ultra-wides. But I will go with the 1 ultra-wide, and it will be mounted to the rig itself. So this, barring any craziness, will be the last iteration of my first PVC rig. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and all the changes. Once again, screw, don't glue. And hopefully this gives you all some ideas of what to do with your own rigs for sim racing. If you want a low-cost solution and something that honestly is fun to race and fun to work with.